my son in Balico, and they really couldn't give him an answer because there was none. They just put me there. They labeled me. They said, this is who you are, and this is who you'll be. Nobody asked me what I wanted or what I needed. Nobody asked me what dreams I had. So my father said, is there a test that you can give my son to tell you where he belonged? They said, yes. Well, then give him the test. And they did. I aced it. I spoke English and Spanish, wrote English and Spanish, read English and Spanish. Man, I dreamed in English and Spanish. I even speak French now. Je parle la français también. J'ai étudié la français possísimo. I know what that means. So they apologized to my father. Told them they put me in regular classes on Monday. My father said, thank you. Started walking out. And I was walking out too. But I was looking at the teachers like this. What? Better jump. Yeah, because we straight punked them teachers. We could get away with anything. And in my moment of joy, in my moment of happiness, in my moment of triumph, out of nowhere, my dad slapped me in the back of the head. Really, really, really hard, you know? My eyes were watering up. I thought I had allergies. I was like, oh my God, my mascara. I was tripping. And I looked at my dad. I said, Papi, why'd you hit me? I didn't do nothing. My dad said, exactly, mijo. No hiciste nada. You did nothing. You let them put you in a corner where you don't belong. You let them take your voice, mijo. Tu voz es tu poder. Your voice is your power. It is the one thing given to you from birth so that you can stand your ground, lay claim to your destiny, speak your mind. It is one of the foundations of this great country. While people sweat, while people bleed, while people will die for this country, and you let them steal it from you like thieves in the night. No te mando, I don't send you to school to waste away. I send you to learn, to become better. Because you are the hopes and dreams of our family. Just like each and every one of you is the hopes and dreams of your family. But see, somewhere along the lines, your generation and my generation, we've gone silent. We were told that it's better to be seen, not heard, that our opinions don't matter, that our dreams are irrelevant. But that is the greatest lie ever told. Because the greatness of this country, the future of this country, every great revolution that has ever blessed this planet, came from the unbridled imagination of a young person like each and every one of you who dares looks at the world and say, why can't it be different? Why can't it be this way instead of that way? And don't get me wrong, y'all not declarative. Y'all be dropping periods all over Snapchat, LOL, BFF. Poking people on Facebook, don't poke me, I punch you. Never realizing that the question mark is far more powerful than the period. You've got to ask questions. You don't know something in class? You don't sit there in silence. You raise your hands. You ask the question. You need something. Assistance, direction, instruction, resources. You need someone to listen to you. You need a hug. You need anything. You raise your hand. You ask the question. You see something go down that's not right. You see people being treated in ways that you would never wish you or your family to be treated. You see injustice, you question it because your voice is your power. With that voice, you can ask questions. Questions give you answers. Answers give you knowledge. And knowledge, young people, knowledge gives you power. Knowledge gives you what? Power. I can't hear you. Knowledge gives you what? Power. The power to change. You can change your life, the lives of your family. If you're not careful, you can change the world. So that day, my dad looked at me with all the love a father has for his child. And he said, very lovingly, you understand what I'm saying? And I looked at him with all the love a kid has for his dad, you know. And I said, I know what the heck you talking about. I'm gonna tell mommy you hit me. You crazy and ugly. What? I said, you're beautiful, puppy. I love your hair. But yo, for real, damage was done. In my eyes, school didn't like me. So if school doesn't like me, I don't like school. And if school doesn't believe in me, then why should I believe in school? By the time I was in 10th grade, I was getting in trouble all the time. I had in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, detention, cualquier mention, I was there. It got to the point that they wanted to remove me out of general population, put me in a special school for special people because I was special. But some of my teachers thought I was funny. They wanted to give me one chance to stay in school. That meant my dad had to come back to school, and I knew he was going to kill me. But I figured he wasn't going to do it in front of the teachers because there's too many witnesses for that. And they gave him my file, and he looked at it, he looked at me, looked at it, looked at me, looked at it, looked at me, looked at it, looked at me, and said, dude, you're freaking me out. Then he starts to turn red. My father's a dark-skinned Puerto Rican man. He's not supposed to turn red. It's not biologically possible. And then on top of that, he's not saying anything, which is freaking me out because the way my dad communicates with me is by yelling. Throw out the trash. Where's the remote? Even when he tried to communicate emotion. I love you. That's the way he talks. And in this situation, out of my father's mouth comes the sweetest, most gentlest, most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. As he looks at the vice principal and he says, can I have a moment alone with my son? And I look at the VP, I was like, dude, you can't leave me here with you. Él me va a matar. I'm gonna be on CNN, young Puerto Rican boy killed in the high school today. But the vice principal looked at my dad and then looked at me and said, you're on your own, kid, and he laughed. And I start freaking out, but I calmed down because I got a plan B. Because every plan A has got to have a plan B, and my plan B is simple. My dad's old. I'm young. I cannot run that fool. As the door begins to close, I'm like, ready, set, go. All of a sudden, my dad began to move faster than I've ever seen him move before in my life. It was like a Puerto Rican version of the Matrix. He was like this, un poquito de salsa. There you go. And he gripped me up, and he slammed me in the chair. My whole life flashed before my eyes. And in this scary situation, in this critical moment of my life, I did what any young, brave, courageous Latino young man would do. I started crying for my mom. I'm like, Mommy, my dad's like, stop crying. But you know what happens when you're in the middle of crying? And you try to stop crying? You start doing this. And the more you try to stop, the worse it gets. You're like, and then your parents want to have a conversation with you right at that moment. Why did you do this? ¿Por qué hiciste esto? And you try to talk, you sound like this. I just do something. And then you get stuck. I would just. Y después los mocos, ¿verdad? It's just crazy, ¿verdad? And then out of nowhere, my dad says something that I wasn't expecting. He looks at me and he goes, Tu abuela. And I was like, is she here? Because I need all the help I can get. And he looks at me and says, Tu abuela. Vino de Puerto Rico. She came from Puerto Rico. She spoke no English. Could you do that? Could you go to a country that doesn't understand you and you don't understand it? Pero ella lo hizo. She came here with my 6 brothers and sisters, chasing the American dream, wherever she could go up and down the East Coast, from one farm to the next. She would work 13, 14-hour days like a modern-day slave. Her hands would be bloody, her feet would be swollen, her clothes would be ripped and dirty, and the very next day, she would do it again. And when my father abandoned us, have you ever wondered why you don't know your grandfather's name? That coward's name will never be mentioned in this house. What kind of man abandons his children? What kind of man turns his back on his family? I was a boy doing a man's job. I raised my brothers and sisters. I worked those fields with my mother. I've worked in a factory my whole life so that you and your 2 sisters can have a better life. You're my only son. You're my namesake. Mi tocayo, you carry my name. I love you. I was like, oh. There you go, showing love again. My dad looked at me and said, I'm gonna give you 2 options. I was like, that's great. He said, you can stay in school and live, or you can drop out and die. Those aren't options. So I stayed in school, but he didn't say anything about being on honor roll. He didn't say anything about being a straight A student. He didn't even say I had to be in class. He just said I had to be in school. So I went to the bathroom. A lot. 10, 15, 25 times a day. I was always in the hall. See my boys in the hall. What's up, Papa? How you doing? Go up to the girls, be like, Mama, how you doing? So you can imagine my teachers didn't like me. My 10th grade geometry teacher called me the greatest piece of garbage he had ever seen in his life. And that was my favorite class. I was told that I would never amount to anything. I had one teacher tell me that I would either die or drop out. But I would never, ever, ever hold a diploma in this hand. You want to know something? I believed her. Because when someone tells you a lie enough times, you start to believe it's true. You start to believe that that is all you're good for. You start to think that that is what you're destined to be. But check it, from the moment you're born until you die, someone's always going to try and label you. Short, tall, fat, skinny, pretty, ugly, gifted, troubled. It's up to you to decide whether you live up to the labels that people try to put on you, or you rip those labels off, tear those labels up, throw those labels away. Don't ever, ever, ever let anyone tell you who you are or who you will become. That is your destiny to fulfill. Nobody else's. Don't ever let anyone define you. You define you. Period. End of statement. You and only you. But ain't nobody tell me that. So I thought I was garbage. So I acted like garbage. Risked everything like garbage. Threw my life away like it was garbage. Until 12th grade, when something amazing happened. This really, really hot girl walked by. And I watched her. And she went over there. So you know what I did? I went over there. And I started kicking game to her. I said, Mama, you look good. Mama, you look fly. I was dropping my best game. And this lady, she was watching me. But I didn't care about her because I wanted this girl's number. And I was bringing out everything I had. I said, Mama, you look so beautiful. Mama, if I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd make sure that you and I would be together forever. Míralo. He's like, I gotta write that down.
Yeah.
So I was feeling real good, and the girl gave me the number, and I was about to walk out when that lady who was watching me, she just jumped right in front of me and said, you're gonna go to college. And I very politely, very respectfully responded to her. Está loca. Are you on crack? Do you even know who I am? I'm not that kind of person that goes to school. She's like, don't worry about that. You're gonna go to college. I said, Miss, I don't know what you're smoking. But this is a drug-free environment, okay? I'm going to lunch. Peace out. And I left. And I went to the lunchroom and I'm kicking it with my friends when all of a sudden I get this pain in my stomach. You know the pain you get when something bad's about to happen? Kind of like women's intuition or Spider-Man Sadison. And all of a sudden, someone tapped me on my shoulders. And by the looks of the faces of all my friends sitting across the table from me, I knew that something horrifically, horrendously, horrible was about to happen.